Yeah, so you're working like a full-time job during the day and then playing chess after that every time you're playing pretty much. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, we're live on Chess Dojo. Let's do an intro and then get into it. So, hi everybody. I am joined here by the third student of our CoachChamps team, Cash Carbon. Here is a link for those of you on Twitch to be able to follow him and his stream. And yeah, there you'll be able to catch him in action, playing, practicing, doing some tactics, etc. And so you'll have to help you follow the whole trajectory of this month as we get ready for the competition. And then thereafter, you can keep following Cash. Cash, your original goal was to make 1,200 in rapid chess, I believe, if I'm not misplacing my info. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're very close to that. Have you thought beyond that at all? Are you going to do a different challenge, or are you going to keep playing chess? Or yeah, nice. That sounds perfect. Okay, super. So very importantly, as far as your goals, and it's always useful for a coach to know like any random stuff about what's motivating somebody, what they're into, where they're trying to go. But I have specifically an offer for you, the same offer I'm making every other member of the team, which is basically to get ready for this competition would be very different than actual chess coaching normally. Normally, chess coaching would be sort of more long term. It'd be like, here are like the 5 or 6 things you would have to do to get to 1,300 once you're done getting to 1,200. Or it'd be like, this would be like a good training plan, or these are 3 weaknesses that you could, slowly work on or weed out over the next year or something like that. But in terms of this competition, I'll just tell you straight up, I want to win the competition. And to win the competition, like teaching you a bunch of end games or having you read a strategy book, almost none of that is going to help in this kind of short term because we only have a few weeks. I can elaborate more on all the reasoning behind this, but essentially the offer is if you're okay with me only training you for the competition and then we win the competition, then next month I can give you a free month of coaching where I give you like a long-term coaching plan and some actually more useful stuff for you, which I would like to offer any chess student is like useful stuff, not just like let's pump you up for one event so I can rub the other coaches' faces in it. I mean, so okay, chat's saying I don't have the second audio working. That is weird. Let's see if I can't fix that. Let's try restarting the audio capture. Okay. All right. Say something for me.
That's the 1, 2, 3. Can chat hear me?
That's got to be good. Right, Foos and Guppy? Did we get it? Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Awesome.
I'm doing a thing through the headphones to avoid echo, but it refreshed something or other. Okay, cool. So you're down with that. You don't mind winning this competition.
I absolutely want to win.
And train next week. Okay, cool. So so basically I'll lay out the plan for the There are some things I'll have to figure out from our lesson today. I'll lay out the general plan for the month. You'll play a couple games for me to watch so I can like really get into your head, although I've already watched a little bit, but it'll still be useful because I'll be really zoned in here. I can, of course, answer any questions you have. We'll agree to meet at another time later this week. I know we've already got Friday penciled in, but I'm going to see if we can get one other time in. So we'll look at our calendars together for a moment. So let me start with my rationale about what you can do in a month. In a month, in terms of like real chess strength, we could maybe gain you somewhere between 50 and 100 points, like training and like working and stuff like that. But honestly, that's not more than what you can get by just being ready for the tournament on the day of the tournament. Have you ever done competitions in martial arts?
Not an official competition, just like, matches, one-on-ones.
Okay. So basically in competition, being ready on the day, like feeling good, having eaten well, having rested well, like not hesitating, stuff like that is worth more than having a little extra skill or knowledge. Where someone might just choke or not feel like the best, or their reaction times might be slightly dulled, and that's going to outweigh like any amount of like adding new skills and information in a short period of time. So in terms of what we would do this month, we would mainly just practice and get you sort of like ship shape, taper off the last couple days so you're also rested. Make sure that you're in a good headspace, like the right level of optimism and confidence and calm and ready to deal with pressure if that's an issue for you at all or anything like that. That's like the main thing that we can do. Beyond that, the maximum thing I think we could do is that if you have one major weakness, we might be able to like knock off one major weakness. So that's the part that's sort of modal, and we'll figure out if that's an option today.
Okay.
Hopefully you've got some kind of huge weakness, because that's something that we can like fix quickly. But my first impression is that you're pretty stable and you're just continually gradually improving, and that overall like your attitude's pretty balanced, your time usage is pretty balanced. There's nothing obvious from what I've looked at so far, but if we can find something today, that would be like the one thing where we could really like have a big impact in a short period of time.
Okay.
A lot of chess students try to gobble up too much information, and then they get confused that they end up like sometimes even being worse because they're reading 3 different books and they're studying a chessable course and this and that. And then in the game, they can't use the information because it's too much. So they either hesitate or wonder about the wrong things, get into time pressure, like whatever it might be, misapply something because it's not yet really theirs. It's sort of superficial knowledge of the thing. So we're going to be very careful to steer clear of that. It can be disorienting to try and use a bunch of new strategies in a new opening, like that you've only been working on for a week, on stage, blah, blah, blah. And next month, I'll happily lay out for you like how you could methodically get to 13, 14, whatever your next goal might be. There's a pretty good chance. The chance is better than 50% that you'll break 1200 during our month of practice here. You might have broken it without any interference from me anyway within the next month, right? So there's a good chance you'll hit 1200, so it'd be reasonable for us next month to talk about what the future could look like wherever you want to aim. And there's different trajectories depending if you want to get to 1400 or 1500 or 2000 or like whatever. Like we can parse that out, and I've trained everyone to every level, so we can get into that next month. I'm going to be taking notes here about you and everybody else in your division so that as needed I can give you some small bits of information about your competitors as we get close to the tournament.
Okay.
And yeah, I might not go into too much detail again so that you're not thinking about like 100 irrelevant things during the game. To some extent, you just want to play your own game and not be like, oh, this guy is like bad at moving knights in endgames, so let me make sure to not trade off his knight and aim for like we don't want it to be like too weird and crazy. We want to just sort of like mostly play your game.
Yeah.
But knowing a couple things about a couple opponents, like this guy plays fast, this guy plays slow, this girl like loves endgames, you just feel, if it's just a couple things, you just feel more like, oh, I could see that coming when you're you're in the game. Sometimes if someone plays really slow or really fast, it messes with you doing things your own way. You might feel pressure to keep up with them, or you might get too excited that they're low on time and assume they're going to blunder. And sometimes, like if you have 8 minutes and your opponent has 1 minute, you're so excited you start playing as if you only had 1 minute as well, trying to flag them. But the main advantage of having 8 minutes against their 1 minute is that you can stop now and then and like play carefully. Just let their blunder come. But less experienced players are always really excited to force the blunders out of their opponent in those situations. So if we just know in advance, like this guy's going to play fast, this girl's going to play slow, stuff like that, it can be a little boost. So I'll handle doing a bunch of scouting on them and giving you some useful information. I'm keeping all my notes in a file here, so if you see me tapping away or looking at my second monitor, it's not because I'm playing some text-based online game, but but I'll just be taking some notes about something I saw or observed.
Okay, gotcha. Sounds good.
Do you think that you have any particular like weakness or thing that you want to work on, or anything that might be a problem for you when we hit the tournament? Like, do you think you'll be nervous or not nervous?
I think the nerves will be fine. Given I don't know, I'm pretty used to playing on stream when there's a bunch of people watching, and I kind of I'm okay with that aspect of it. I think right now, just based on how I feel with my games, I'm often running low on time. I think you said I was pretty balanced with it. I feel like I'm always pushing it towards the end, and that's definitely somewhere I can work on. And that probably a majority of that is because I'm on stream and I'm trying to talk out all my moves and still trying to make it entertaining as well. I think in general for me, it's just either I just make dumb mistakes and blunder the most simple thing, or I'm like way overthinking any potential, like sacrificing 12 pieces to try to get somewhere, and just I need like oftentimes I think keep it simple, but I don't know. That's just how I'm feeling about my games.
Yeah. Cool. That's great. I did also notice that sometimes you get a little bit low at the end. I feel like overall your pace is pretty accurate, but you're less used to playing super fast. I think you haven't like played bullet like some degenerates do. So it's not so much that you're not using your time well and that you're too low on time. It's you don't have a lot of experience playing the ends of games like fairly quickly, like mopping up a situation at the end with just half a minute or a minute. So you feel kind of pressure there where you're not used to it. Overall, your time usage is really good. So one thing that I'll have you do is play a few blitz games so that you're more comfortable with the low time situation. But for the most part, we'll try to play as much 10+2 as we can, because that'll mimic the tournament setting. In addition to that, towards the end of the month, we'll try to set up a couple tournaments for you where you can play 7 rounds in a row of 10+2 against people from the Chess Dojo. So they'll fill out, a roster, a pod of 8 for you, so you can get as close as we can get to the tournament experience.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, I'll keep track of that issue of like how are you doing with your last minute in the end games and stuff like that. I had noticed that while watching a couple of your games. And then the next question is like, what do you like best in chess, or is there like any particular part of chess that inspires you? Like if you could pick how a game went, like you sit down to play a game and you get to pick like whether it's a win or a draw or a loss, how long it takes, how tired you are at the end, whether you sacrifice stuff or slowly eat their pawns, or like what does an ideal chess game kind of look or feel like for you?
I like, I guess, a more aggressive play style, and if I can get like a very creative or cool sacrifice out where it's like planned, well calculated. Of course, it takes time to kind of really build that up, but that's like where a huge dopamine hit. It's like a solid sacrifice, a very creative moveset where it's like not as straightforward as it generally as it would be. Taking a pawn first, reducing material, and then maybe, but maybe that's the wrong way to approach it. Just like
everyone has their
Okay.
own way, which is one of the really cool things about chess. Like there are people who just want mayhem. There are people who want everything like calm and solid, and there are some people who don't even like to win. They like to draw. I
Mm.
I played against somebody once who would offer a draw on every move, and he would just try and make equal trades, and literally he just wanted to draw. He didn't even want to win. And if he got ahead, he would just sort of like sacrifice the material to trade down towards an equal endgame.
Wow.
So there's
All right, that's interesting.
there's all types out there, and it's
Mhm.
not exactly right or wrong, but it's good to know what makes somebody tick,
Mhm.
in terms of, if they have some kind of inspiration or something that's going to bring out the best in them, right? So, like for me personally, when I was first learning chess, the world champion was Garry Kasparov,
Mm.
and so I kind of thought that his chess was the greatest thing there was, which I guess at that point was true. And I wanted to play like that, right? So I would see like, oh, he's playing these Sicilian defenses. I'll play these Sicilian defenses. Oh, he plays very aggressively with white, and he basically never retreats. Like once a piece comes forward, even if you attack it, he finds a way to just bring the next piece forward so that you can't take the piece that's already there. So I was like, all right, I'm never going to retreat, like when somebody threatens something, he likes to use a counter threat instead of just responding to the threat, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to like try and like learn to do that. He would do, opening prep and put a pressure on his opponent from the beginning to the end of the game. The whole game would be kind of connected. Like I do this, putting this pressure. If it makes that weakness, then I readjust towards that weakness. If it does this. And so there was like a logical connection from start to end. Again, this is not necessarily the correct way to see chess. I'm just giving you an example. This was my way of seeing chess, and it inspired me, and I played my best games when I felt like there was this connection from my opening, my pressure, a creative idea, more pressure, ideally like you, a sacrifice, but again, I'm not trying to say that's the right way to do it, but that was what brought me satisfaction. That's what I was trying to go for. So that can help me if at any point you have questions about what opening to play or any choices of that kind.
Okay. Awesome.
Cool. So we've got that. And then what do you do for tactics? You do puzzles on chess.com?
So I started doing just the normal puzzles. I varied the difficulty to like extra hard, but I felt like that was a lot of stuff that I don't usually encounter in my games. So I don't know if that was good for me or not. So what I did this past Friday and Saturday was I limited it just to forks. And then so I did, 35 minutes to an hour of just forks. And then what I plan to do today and this week is start doing skewers and then add more on that, drill it in. I don't know the proper way to go about it. Should I just do the general ones or should I do a specific tactic each session?
Okay. So the most important thing is we want to set the difficulty level at the right level for you. So one of my students earlier today reminded me, because I was thinking like for his skill level, he should be doing puzzles that take him 3 to 5 minutes. And then I realized, wait, that's advice for next month, because he's training for a 10-minute tournament. You're not going to calculate 5 minutes on one move in a 10-minute tournament. So instead I was like, oh yeah, let's pull back. Let's do 1 to 2 minute tactics, because in a 10-minute game, maybe somewhere between once and twice per game, you might get a feeling like maybe this is like a key moment. Maybe I've got like a great move here. And then you might think for 2 minutes, and either you find it or you don't, but you're not going to think longer than that. So what's the point of practicing a bunch of 5-minute puzzles this month for that student, right? So I would guess that puzzles that take you about 1 to 2 minutes would be good.
Okay.
You're probably also still at a point in tactics where you're encountering a fair number of patterns that you haven't seen before. Like new things like, oh, wow, you can checkmate with a knight and a rook by themselves in this position. Or you can create a double attack by retreating a piece and opening up a hidden attack. Or I'm guessing that you're still encountering new patterns now and then. So what I would advise you to do with the tactics is maybe give yourself a 1 minute time limit on the tactics. If you don't have the answer after 1 minute and you get the tactic wrong, maybe play over the answer 3 times before you go on to the next tactic. Just try to kind of paste the tactic into your brain with a little repetition like that.
Okay. And is it the right approach to do a specific type of tactic each kind of session, or just mix it up so I don't
We're
exactly
mostly
know?
going to mix it up because in your games you don't know if you're about to hit like a trapped piece or a fork or a discovered attack, right?
Okay.
So we're mostly going to avoid that in the puzzles. If you feel there's like one kind of tactic that you just have a problem with or a blind spot or something like that, you could definitely throw in a day of that one kind of tactic. But for the most part, we'll just do general without picking a theme. Okay. And then I'm cautioning you against what some stubborn competitive people do, where they like sit and stare at it till they get the answer. They think like, I just have to be able to solve everything. So they'll stare for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and they won't give up. I think we should give up at 1 minute, or, put in our best guess at 1 minute. And if we get it wrong, just review it a couple times. And if we get it right, move on. That will allow you to see more patterns than if you are obstinate about any of the puzzles, right? You'll get through maybe 30 puzzles in 30 minutes at that kind of a rate, or maybe 25 because you're doing a little reviewing. It'll just get you through more patterns. And since you're still meeting new patterns with how long you've been playing, it'll be useful just to have seen more patterns. And then we're keeping the time pretty tight and good. And that'll be, I think, the best for your tactics.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So... Oh, yeah. So one other thing I wanted to tell you about is, like, you often do your practice on stream, and you're often entertaining people while you play, right? Do you play very often not on stream?
Not too much, just
not
blitz,
much,
but
right?
like I'll be doing some other things. So I'm just like, pushing wood, as someone told me it was.
Yeah.
While I'm just, waiting in a line or something, I'll play like a blitz or a bullet or something.
Right on. Right. So my guess is that just by playing not while streaming, you'll immediately be a bit better.
I would agree.
Because basically you'll go from 2 tasks to 1 task almost, right? And also I've spent a lot of time streaming and playing, and I lose about 200 points of strength if I explain what I'm doing as I do it instead of just playing. So one of the things that we want to practice at some point over this period of time, unfortunately for the streaming career, but one thing that we want to practice is playing games while not talking about anything or explaining anything, either off stream or like on stream, and you just let them listen to a song or something, or you just have them concentrate themselves for 10 minutes. Depending on whether you think that'll tank your stream, you just rather do it off stream. But we want to do some of that. The payoff will be, when we win the competition, then people will be like, oh, you're a winner of this competition. Let's follow your stream.
Yeah. No, that's good. This month I'm dedicating to locking in exclusively on this competition. So.
Okay, cool. And if you want to, we could always, we could try sometimes to do a thing where I come on and I'll do commentary on your stream. We'll do like a Zoom call or whatever, but just like, switch the audio or turn off the audio, or you take out your headset if you've got me on earbuds. So you don't hear me. I'll try to entertain your audience and you'll lock in. And we can try and hit both things that way.
Okay, solid.
Yeah. Yes, and Vonda, who is also a streamer, is recommending to you, and don't read the chat or answer it while you're playing the locked-in games.
Yep, everything just one single monitor, everything else hit.
I know monotasking is rarer and rarer for people, and I'm a little bit of whatever, an old school or a dinosaur or a boomer, because I think monotasking has a value. But I guarantee that monotasking is helpful in winning chess tournaments. I might be wrong about lots of other things, but you know, in chess tournaments, the winners are not people checking alerts on their phone during the game. Except those who are getting alerts from Stockfish, and that's not our strategy. So we're gonna have to practice what that is like, and really get you a good flow state and see what your level is there. With all that said, I'd love to watch you play 2 games of 10+2.
Okay.
We're gonna look for opponents between 1,000 and between one. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Dogs versus cats here.
Mine's right here.
Bubsy. 1 second.
Hey, do you think? I'll set this up.
Okay. So we want opponents plus or minus 200 points of you, more or less, right? So like when you put out a seek for a game on chess.com or something like that, you can set your default to plus or minus 200 points from whatever your current rating is.
Yep.
And so for folks on Chess Dojo right now, I've heard that sometimes when you're looking for a 10+2, nobody's available because it's less common than 10+0 or 10+5. And so we will call on people from the dojo to help you get a game if chess.com doesn't have the right pool. So folks on Chess Dojo, if any of you are interested in giving Cash a game today, the rating range we're looking for is 950 to 1350. Chess.com rapid rating. Okay.
Should I send this out as rated or unrated? Does it matter?
Whichever you like. It matters not to me.
Okay, I'll send this out as unrated for anyone that might be in Chess Dojo joining this. Okay, I'll just put out a start right now. Ready? Am I good to go?
Yeah, perfect. You can set out a thing.
Right. Easy does it. All right, we started up.
I'm sending your profile into the chat so folks there can find you and join your game if they want. We've got a couple people here saying that they'd be up for it. So as soon as you get a game, let me know and I will mute.
I'm already in a game right now.
Already in a game. Perfect. All right, here we go, folks. I'm going to mute my Zoom so that I can tell people in chat stuff, and Cash is going to play without telling anybody anything. All right. So we've got a Queen's Gambit kind of position from Cash. Oh, and he's on the black side, so I'll flip that just so folks know which side we're on. So he's playing a Queen's Gambit declined as black. Hey, Zoomja, are you a follower of Cash's? Okay. So, first big moment, this bishop can't get out, and we wonder if Cash is going to do something to address it. So b6, either fighting the cramp or giving the bishop a way out. We'll see what the follow-up is from here. And I'm going to make sure I can see Cash's face, see how he's feeling here. He's looking around the board rapidly. Very focused. Defends the knight. Gets attacked in extra time. Defends it with the bishop. Good. That's cool, Vonda. For sure, Zoom John. In the long run, the Chess Dojo training program is good for a lot of people. For this month, I'm not sure I'm going to use it for Cash or any of the students. I might just focus on, these very basic program for being in shape for the upcoming tournament. Yeah, I think when he first put his queen on d7 a couple moves ago, he didn't anticipate that this knight was going to become such a target for white. Probably didn't look at like a second move from this bishop here. Maybe expected white to develop the last piece. But instead they would have put more pressure on. And then this knight e4 move basically didn't work because of all that pressure there. Yeah. Correct, boring accountant. Yeah. That would have been the best move there. Of course your opinion matters. You're exactly at the level we're working with here. Cash is playing in an 800 to 1200 group. And he's in the 1100s right now. So he's near the top end of it, but there are several other players who are near the top end as well. So excuse me. So our goal is to get him to 1200 level, basically off of practice and some tactics, and then just get him in a good mindset to play a good tournament. Very, very basic plan. Here. Here, the kind of interesting stuff to wonder is like, what's his attitude or mood when he's down a piece, right? He obviously realizes that he missed something, had that moment of realization, like, oh shoot, and now a piece. It's pretty significant at this level, but not a guaranteed loss. So the question is, like, does he still feel like he has a chance or not? Like, is he trying to drum something up or just hang around and not make any more mistakes and let the opponent prove it? Different ways he could go. Hey Moscow, doing well? Hey ZJ. Right, is he gonna go like super wild looking for chances, or just stay solid, let them prove it? Is he gonna sort of give up, that sort of thing? Pacific Romatini. I'm in Pacific. Okay, great. This is the move that I've wanted him to play the whole opening phase. And it seems like the exchange of pieces kind of clarified for him that this was the way forward. Now this pawn's under bunches of attackos. So you got to shore it up. Perfect. For sure, Fuzz, for sure. Rook b1 is an excellent move for white. Black has an unpleasant choice between trading rooks on the b file, and the more you trade rooks, potentially all 4 of them, the better the extra knight is. Or letting white have control of the file with their rooks, double up and control the file. Unpleasant for black. I think it took him 2 to 3 seconds, 2 seconds maybe, to see the rook was defended. I've played a lot of odds games, so yeah, I like his choice there. That was fine. Queen c7. And now we want to go into b2. Right on. All right. Good resilience. He didn't go crazy trying to avoid the trades. And now he's just got to stay calm and let white prove it, because white's knight and queen are kind of tangled up. Here you can play a move like a5, king f8. A lot of people will be tempted to reposition the queen, see, to keep attacking things. But actually, your queen's in a good position. Let your opponent be frustrated. Just mark time. Something like king f8, king g8. Right? This is going to allow queen c2, which is going to slightly untangle white. That's the best square the queen can be on. She protects both weak pawns. And see, when the queen was on b2 here, it's hard for white to improve things. Here he could have played a5, maybe a4 if he wanted to. Okay, so he backs up. White makes a little headway. He advances the a pawn, which is fine. And now, what to do? Basically, you have to mark time with the king here. Yeah, one of the hardest things to do in chess is nothing. All masters are really used to just sitting around doing nothing. And also, like, doing nothing but making it look like something is another master trick. But amateurs generally feel like they need to be doing something at all times. See how white's slowly improved their queen as black tries to make threats? That's very high level stuff, but just in terms of how I would have played down a piece, which I have so much experience doing. And this move here, very good. I'm glad that he saw the idea of bringing the queen in this way. All right, now that's some hope. That weakens this, which gives the queen another thing to defend. She's got 3 things to defend. Busy, busy queen. Now you want to bring this pawn to h4. It sets up a repetition with queen e1, queen g3, queen e1, queen g3 at some point. So you just advance this pawn, take some space from this king. But again, it's a lot of just sitting around. King f8, king g8 is perfectly good too. Oh.
Let's go.
All right.
All right, let's go, dude.
He's emotional about the stuff.
Let's go. Oh, let's go. Dude. What are we doing? What are we doing, dude? What is going on?
Okay, right on.
All right. That was pure luck, I think.
That was a what?
I think that was pretty lucky.
Yeah, most chess is. Most chess games have some mistakes from both sides. And so, since in every game we win because our opponent made a mistake, we could also see it as luck. But what you did, what I saw there that's very important, is you didn't give up when you were down a piece, and you didn't go like crazy, so to speak. There's giving up where people just play like completely limply or just resign, and then there's going like too crazy where you're like, I'm behind, so I have to like sack everything for some crazy last chance. And you actually played it pretty calmly despite having one less piece on the board. So.
Good to hear. Awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I think I shouldn't have traded off my rooks to begin with since I was down. I did blunder out that first exchange. I'm not used to. I thought what was he playing, Queen's Gambit-ish type thing. I'm really not used to playing against that. I don't know how I'm properly supposed to develop in that situation without getting like overpowered on the right side with the pawns. But I think maybe I shouldn't have traded off my rooks. But I figured, I don't know, since I had the queen, just try to keep it up, and maybe they'll make a mistake with something at the end there if I don't know, and they did. So that was good.
Yeah, it was very good. Yeah, definitely I can see that. And I saw this in, I think, basically everybody in your group, that they basically all play e4, and they all play worse when the opponent plays d4. Like they just don't have any experience from it. You've played, maybe, like, let's say somebody's played 1,000 games, although some of these people somehow played 10,000 games in a year. But, like, make the math simpler. Let's say you've played 1,000 games, and you've played e4 500 times. And as black, you've faced e4 400 times and d4 100 times. You've got 9 times as much practice with, like, e4 positions, especially probably e4, e5s a lot. And then, although I saw a fair number of Scandinavians or center counters in your games too, but
yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, but in general, people will have hundreds of games of practice with e4, e5, and like maybe like a couple dozen with d4. So, and they don't know what the other side of it looks like. They don't know what the other player is like hoping for or afraid of, which changes it. Speaking of which, have you ever played d4?
Like twice, because my chat was like, play d4, okay. And I said, okay, fine, this one time I'll play.
Okay, so I'll definitely have you play some games with d4 this month. Not because we're likely to play d4 in a tournament, but if somebody else plays d4, you'll just have seen the other side of the board. And it'll just give you a different sense of the position. It'll help in just like 5 to 10 games will really change how you see the black side of it. So that's going to be good. So looking at this as well, time usage, you were getting quite low, right? So you were like a little bit slow, but your opponent was playing fast, right? You didn't need to have time left. Like at this point in the game, when it's queen and knight against queen, and we're around move 30 to 35, maybe ideally the players have about 3 to 3.5 minutes. So that means your opponent was playing twice as fast as they should, and you were playing maybe almost half as fast, right? So the idea was maybe somewhere in the middle there. But you had enough time to notice when your opponent made a mistake. And the one thing that I noticed that could help is sometimes doing nothing with your move. This was like a big theme in this game. I play a lot of games at material odds because I spend a lot of time playing people who are 1,000 points lower rated than me, and chess is kind of boring if you know you're going to win or you know you're going to lose. So if somebody's like 1,000 points lower rated than me, I'll give them a rook or maybe a rook and a knight. If they're 1,200, 1,400 points lower than me, I might give them the queen. So I've got a lot of experience playing those kind of games, and like if I'm down a queen or down a rook and a knight, it's pretty hard to launch a really good attack. So a lot of the time what I have to do is just kind of sit there and not give them any freebies, and they don't necessarily know how to like pursue their advantage, how to break down a position if I leave all my pieces defending each other. So they kind of move around in circles, and I just kind of move back and forth and don't make it worse for myself, and then they'll hang one piece, and then they'll get frustrated. And so definitely it's very useful in positions like the one you had in this game with queen against queen and knight to at some point just play some moves like king f8, king g8 really, really quickly.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Where you like kept looking for ways to like improve your queen's position or find something else to attack. But there wasn't, because your queen was attacking by herself. And that both cost you time, and actually your queen's position was getting progressively worse as you backed up looking for other things to attack. Your queen was at its best when it came into b2 on move 26. If you can click through the score and go to move 26. Right when you play queen b2 and your opponent was forced to bring their knight back to the beginning square to defend their a-pawn, your queen is on her best square at that point.
Okay.
Right? But 100 out of 100 players you're rating will look at this, and I predicted it during the game, will look at this and be like, how do I attack something more? How do I keep the pressure on? Because you've just played a good move. You just came forward. You saw them retreat. You're like, but the truth is, you still have a queen attacking a queen and a knight, so you can't win. You need at least 2 pieces in combination to do an attack, and normally you need more pieces than your opponent to do a successful attack, at least in an area. So your queen's not going to successfully break through here and like win something. So that's exactly the kind of position where if you can just play king f8 really fast and let your opponent think, and they're like, how do they improve their position, right? If they go knight d2, you take the a pawn. If they move the queen, you take the knight. Like, so if you can sometimes just play a move that doesn't really do much but doesn't hurt your position but really quickly, that's going to be a useful thing to start doing at some point.
Okay.
Especially,
I sort of thought. Go ahead.
I was going to say, especially in games where you're low on time, because it's an effort to come up with something positive to do versus like king f8. Especially in games you're low on time or games where you're low on material, because games you're low on material, you're going to have to learn to just kind of sit there and let your opponent mess up sometimes.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I sort of thought I was doing a passive move by pushing the pawns, but I guess that's when I don't know what else to do. I'm just like, okay, we're just going to push a pawn and see what happens.
Yeah, actually, the moves with your a pawn, a5, a4, those were perfectly good moves.
Okay.
What was slightly hurting your position was like you backed up your queen to attack the c pawn, and then they were able to get their queen off of the back rank.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
And then when you played queen a5 trying to come into e1, and they played knight, and then they played queen c3, and I saw you wince for a moment, and then you backed off from their queen, right? So their queen is slowly coming out as you're trying to attack things, and your queen was being forced to back up. I think you felt that during the game.
Yeah,
and then luckily you found this great idea, queen a6, and you come in on a new angle and you get into e2, and again your queen is like oppressive and attacking things, and he can't get her out of his way. That's going to be very disorienting to people at your level when you can sink a piece into a square like that and they don't know how to work around it. Even up one piece, if they're discoordinated, it's going to be really tough for people to untangle. And when you play simple moves like king f8 in a situation like that, and they're just like, oh, shoot, like I don't know what to do. They're really hoping that you would relieve the pressure for them with something. It'll put pressure on their clock as well, because then they feel like they have to come up with something.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Sorry if that's too much advice for one game, but it's just a very interesting concept.
That's perfect. So say I do, I guess, keep moving my king back and forth, and just a passing move, and they're not really changing the placement of, I guess, their knight or their queen.
Yeah.
Maybe they start pushing a pawn instead.
Yeah.
When's a good opportunity to get my queen out of there and abandon that position? Is it, I guess, when a material might present itself or a tactic or something?
Yeah, if they maybe like hang one of their pawns to you in an effort to get their pieces out, like they're so tired of being cooped up that they're like, fine, like if you go back to the position right after queen b2. One story that could happen is they've just played knight b1 defending the pawn, and let's say, your best move is a5 like you actually did later in the game, but for argument's sake, let's say you're not spending a minute finding the best move and you just play king f8 quickly. Just boom, king f8. And they're like not sure what to do about the knight or the queen, so they play a little pawn move on the king side, h3 or g3, something like that. They move like a pawn in front of their king. And you just go back to g8. And then They can't figure anything out. They shuffle their queen on the first rank. Maybe that'll fix something. You know, they play queen e1. You play king f8 quickly. Now, at some point, they're frustrated. And they're like, fine, I'll bring my knight out. And then you take the pawn on a3. You see what I mean? That's where you'll like relinquish like a little bit of your space, is if you can grab one of their pawns or something like that.
Okay.
You see what I mean? And so
I do.
they're more and more likely to do something like that if they get frustrated. Like if they feel like they burned time and couldn't find a solution, or if they feel like you're playing king f8, g8 too quickly and like calmly and cockily. And because normally the way anyone wins a chess game, even up to my level, and this is going to be mind-blowing for some people, but I'm around a 2400 level. Even at my level, I rarely beat the opponent by forcing a win. Normally, even in classical chess, what happens is they get sufficiently depressed about their position being bad that they do some kind of a freak out, and that allows me to play a win. That's the case for most people up to 2300 level. If you put a computer into the other seat, we couldn't win our winning positions because the computer wouldn't hang anything. It would just sit there. Right? It's very hard to force like a full breakthrough against tough defense. So do not underestimate frustrating your opponent, right? And knowing when like you can just sit on something and they're like, ugh, why won't he just make a mistake? I'm ahead by a piece. Normally when I'm ahead by a piece, half of my opponents like resign because they're depressed, and half of my opponents hang a second piece because they're freaking out. And this guy's just sitting there, and I can't even use my extra piece. It's sitting on b1.
Okay, solid. Yeah, good to know.
Right on. So you seem very focused. I noticed you look around really quickly. So you're scanning all over the board. You're looking all sides of the board, and you're working pretty hard while you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, first game of the day, sort of. I'll call this a warm-up match. So opening definitely not my greatest with that blunder there. I don't think I was thinking as much as I should have when I first blundered my bishop or whatever that was, the knight on what is it, C file or B file. Yeah, it's definitely a little different not saying my moves out loud. Like it's a habit to like talk it out and just hear myself. It's like almost a double check usually. Like, does this make sense? Does this sound right?
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Do you feel tired after you play for a couple hours on stream?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, I can imagine. It feels to me like you put in like good effort, naturally speaking. Like you just tend to put in a good effort. So
I try.
So that will tend to lead to feeling a bit tired. Okay, cool. I just like to, like I'm trying to read your mind, and then I'm just confirming some things to see if I'm feeling it out correctly.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's play another game.
Okay. Let's see. All right, I'm just gonna press new 10-2 here, and if anyone, it'll be unrated. So I guess anyone watching on Chess Dojo wants to play, just queue up for that.
Cool.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Might take a little while here.
Yeah, might take a moment. We'll see. So if anyone wants to get a game,
here we go.
Here we go.
All right,
we got one.
Starting up now.
All right. So now we got an E4 opening. And we'll just see if right away that gets a little bit easier for him. Opponent goes for this, and he doesn't hesitate. So he's seen this before. You see the difference in time usage and confidence compared to last game, right? Like that did not faze him. He'd seen it before in some form or other, right? The knight g5 and they take, and he's just fine with it. Now you can take with knight or queen. I would have taken with queen, just like he did. Now he's going to think, if I take, maybe a rook, I could back up, I could sit here. It's a little risky to leave the bishop just defended by the queen. So if he plays a move like bishop e6 or something, I'll just know there's a little looseness, that he's not really worried about the piece. But I like how quickly he played up to the point he played quickly, and I like that he's stopping and thinking here. So that's good time usage. I would just tuck. Just sort of like a gut blitz move would be to just tuck your piece where it's well protected by the pawns, and you can get back to development. Knight g5 takes f7 is kind of known as a beginner's mistake. They're overvaluing the rook or something, but it should be kept in mind that the position's only mildly good for black after this. Cool. DG's seen him before. Let's give another shout out. Shout out. Oh, I have to say it again. It doesn't just go back to the last. It doesn't revert there. Cash Carbon for anyone who wants to follow when he's practicing on his own. I won't always be there. Okay, he goes for an ambitious move. Bishop g4. This is a great move. But not what I expected. And not what I would have done if I were playing, like super fast. Oh, he planned that. Oh, he celebrates every time. Every single good thing that happens. I don't think he's reading chat. I think he's listening to my advice to sort of monotask. G4. Does he notice this? He could get like really aggressive here. The danger is that knight c3 actually wins a piece if he takes on g4. But he's looking at it. He's excited. He's like, I'm a G. I saw this tactic. I saw this thing. He's double checking. I think blindfold chess is awesome, Moscow, but optional. Like, it's not necessary, but it's good, if that makes sense. He's pumped up.
No. Okay, we'll take it. Right, let's go.
Okay. So you saw the idea, and you double checked for a while before you played it. I could tell because you were excited as soon as you saw the idea. You're like, oh man, I'm about to be potentially able to play a genius move here. But you didn't just play it as soon as you saw it. You were doing some double checking. So that's great. And your opponent resigned. And last game you were up a piece, you were down a piece and you won, and then you said you were lucky. This game you're up a piece and you won. Are you lucky? Your opponent resigned, right? You could have resigned last game when you were down a piece. So that's what I mean about like all these decisions. We're kind of making our own luck, right? Like last game you won the game because you didn't resign. This guy took the easier way out. Resignation.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's solid. No, this felt nice. I wasn't sure there if I was getting myself into a trap or not. My big debate was like, do I take this with the... Once I realized this pawn was pinned, I'm like, do I take with the bishop? Is there some kind of like move with the knight where I can checkmate? But yeah, I don't know. It felt good.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. And you're enjoying it. You're like smiling and stuff in between your moves and all that. That's great. Cool. Okay, well that all looks good. I think I've got like a pretty good feel already for what you're up to. What's making you tick, strengths and weaknesses, stuff like that. I noticed you played the opening much more confidently, for example, this game, because it was an e4, e5 scheme. You knew in advance what like probably the best squares were for your pieces, but you're not playing like a system player. Like you don't automatically put them there. You still like, okay, this makes sense. So you can just make the choices faster. Knight g5, knight f7 didn't rattle you. You were confident. And that's just that experience like we talked about before compared to d4 games where you just don't have that many experiences with it.
Yeah.
DG, no, the goal is not to break 1200. Cash would be able to do that on his own. We're part of a special competition called CoachChamps where we get 3.5-4 weeks to prepare for a tournament against other players in a 400-point rating bracket. And the idea is that it's going to prove who's the best chess coach in the world, which it won't quite, but we still want to win it, because we enjoy that.
We're going to win it. We got to win it.
So that's what we're doing. We're going to spend like about a month getting ready for that tournament. And then after we win that tournament, we'll spend a month talking about longer-term chess improvement within a framework of, what Cash enjoys and, how he wants to spend his time. And maybe we'll talk about what opening is best for chess boxing. Who knows? For now, we're doing great. We hit everything we needed to do today. Let me see. Do I need to take any more notes? Or I wrote down the notes about the tactics we're using. I can write your repertoire. What do you play as black against 1e4? You play e5 all the time?
E5, yeah. And I don't really know. I guess 2 knights. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of 2 knights probably, I would say.
As black, I think you play the Queen's Gambit declined, quote unquote, orthodox. You may or may not be familiar with that name, but I think that's what you're doing when you defend the D pawn. When you defend your queen pawn with the pawn in front of your king, so then you can develop the kingside pieces. That's called orthodox because maybe that was the first way people did it. So it's like the oldest way to do it. So those are solid, clean openings. I definitely recommend to you to try and get 5 to 10 1d4 games under your belt.
Okay.
So you'll have just that extra degree of familiarity and comfort in d4 positions.
Gotcha. Okay.
So did I put that on my list? No.
How would I play this game out if they didn't resign? Sorry, that's maybe not part of the lesson, but I'm thinking what would be my next move here? Would I move my bishop to h3 to try to move the rook?
Oh yeah, if you could play bishop h3 next to kick that rook, that could be a great move for you because that rook's getting a little bit low on spaces, right? Mm-hmm. Another thing you could possibly do is move your knight to d4 to gang up on the f3 pawn, try and break down that pawn.
Yeah. Okay.
And then another thing you could do, like if you don't have a breakthrough, but here you have enough pieces attacking that it makes sense to keep attacking if you count attackers against defenders. Mm-hmm. If you weren't ahead on pieces, though, I would definitely recommend playing like rook f8, king g8, and then launching a wave of attack.
Okay, gotcha.
You see what I mean? So actually, let's go back to move 10 where you played bishop g4. Okay. And let's say your opponent doesn't play f3, dropping the bishop on e3.
So move 10, all right. Bishop e3, bishop to g4, all right?
Yeah, and bishop g4 was a nice move. I didn't think you would spot that, but it's very nice that you can develop that piece, and they have to move their queen. And they tried to punish you for it with f3, leaving your things hanging, and then you won that piece, and you had planned that, so that was great. So let's say instead of playing f3 that they move their queen up one space.
Okay.
Backing up their bishop as well. In that position, I don't yet see an effective way for you to attack. So that's an example of a position where I would really recommend that you play a move like rook to f8, or possibly even the move bishop to b6. The point of the move bishop to b6, can you guess what the point is of moving the bishop back a square where it's defended by the pawns?
Maybe activate my rook?
If they trade, it could activate your rook, yes. But the reason that I'm a little worried here as black is if white attacks my queen with something and chases my queen away, I might lose the bishop on c5. You see those two bishops facing off against each other?
Yeah.
And I think that you didn't really want to trade the bishop because it would open your opponent's rook. Is that correct?
Correct.
Nice. Okay, good on you for thinking of that. So given that you don't want to take, you want to make sure that your bishop is not going to be too precarious, right? If you're going to leave a face-off. Some players about your level are basically too afraid of face-offs, so they'll always trade or run away. They won't face off because they've had too many bad experiences of, imagine like I play king g8, white attacks my queen with the pawn c4, I move my queen away, and then they take the bishop on c5 for free.
Yeah.
Once that's happened to somebody a few times, they start being sort of gun-shy about face-offs, right? And so they're like, I'm just going to trade, or I'm just going to back off. Now in chess, actually, at very high levels, it's really good to be able to hold the tension. and keep the face off. If you don't want to trade and you just want to back up your piece, good. But those people, they're being forced to just calculate extra moves every move, right? They have to make sure, is there no way for the other player to exploit this, right? So you're living riskily when you do stuff like that. And so I think you could either calculate every move if your queen has a way to back up and keep your bishop defended, or another thing that could be cool is you just drop the bishop back to b6. And so the point of bishop b6 is there it's well defended by your pawns. Your opponent has to keep their bishop defended. Yours is nicely defended. And now you're set for the standoff, basically.
Gotcha.
Kind of the idea with that move. Cool. Yeah. Do you have any other questions for me today, or should we just play another game? Because we covered everything I needed to for today.
Let me think. How about we play a game and I'll try a d4 out.
All right.
All right, let's do it.
Give d4 a try.
Let me see. I'll do Newton 2 games. So again, anyone watching in chat. Oh, never mind. It started already. So here we go.
Wow. Nice.
Is it 10 or just 10-2?
We're cruising.
We're in it. So let's see.
We're in it, so we're doing it.
Oh, d4. Here we go.
Yeah. By the way, I'll just tell you, it looks like there's no 2-second increments. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
And
gotcha.
I'll mute and watch.
Thanks.
Okay, so we got Cash trying d4 for the second or for the third time of his life, maybe. He's going to bring out a bishop. To the questions about was I going to bring up this or was I going to bring up that? No. I just thought that would be a little too much for this lesson. So, which I guess you have your answer by now since I didn't. All right, let's see how he feels about that. Does it bother? Does it not bother? Well, I was offline for a weekend, Romatini. It's every week, so the next one is on the 21st. And it'll be back to the normal time, 9:30. Okay, e3, allowing this bishop to come out. I think DG that Zoom Jump means compared to other games. Cash has gotten a different kind of setup all 3 games today. I'd love to do that, Gefilte Fish. If you can convince Andras to do it, I'll do it. Perfect square for that piece. Yeah, the dark squared bishop retreating was not ideal. We can tell that, but he basically made a practical decision not to agonize over it. He knew he was worried about how to handle this pressure. And he could have spent forever thinking about how to deal with knight e4. And he decided, like, this is probably not ideal, but it deals with knight e4. And so he was able to play that move in 14 seconds versus freaking out for 2 minutes or spinning about what to do. And he got a normal position with his pieces developed. Now this is the big challenge. Black's got a great center and a threat. Will he back up again, or will he fight back? That's the big, big question here. Assuming he sees the pawn fork, which I think he does. Yeah. Oh. He could have taken and taken. So here he's playing a little bit faster than normal for him. And I see that it's a little less precise when he speeds up. Thank you, Fish. Thank you. By the way, I love to do anything with Andras anytime. You know, whether it be that idea of yours or anything else. I just like Andras, period. Actually, a good decision not to trade pawns on d4 there. My instinct is almost always to just like get the trade done, but here with our king on the e file, this was probably a nice move that he just came back. Oh, his opponent's after him. Oh, maybe because he knows there's no increment and he knows he's a bit slow zoomed. Yeah, that makes sense.
Hey, why not? Here.
Does playing e4 need more confidence than 1d4, DG asks? I don't know. I don't know.
Good.
Cash seems to have like a pretty strong instinct not to make trades, just like I have the instinct to make trades. Seems to have the opposite instinct going on. Actually, no, DG, it may be that e4 is a little less safe than d4. There are some d4 lines like the London, the Collie, even some Queen's Gambit lines that feel more solid and safe for white. And then a lot of e4 lines are kind of sharp and dangerous. So there may be an element where you're right. I don't think that explains everybody's choice, right? Because there's millions of people playing and they have different reasons for their choices. Ooh, improves another piece. Cool. All right, now, does the knight go back to a miserable square? Does he claim he has a fishing pole? Does he trade the knight in for the rook, which he knows is not very good for white, but it's an option if you don't have any option you like? A moment of truth. Not the moment, just a moment. Yeah, I got you, DJ. Does he know the fishing pole? I don't know. All right, here comes some trades. So now we know that black's a little bit better, but the position's still pretty tense. It would be nice for white to throw in this queen b3 check because it keeps the black king from being able to go back to h8 and g8, right? Like now black could play king g8. If white threw in this, the black king is a little bit badly placed, right? And then you keep going from there with castling or bring out this rook to one of these squares first if you want. Now he traded off his really good bishop. I'm not pumped about that, but c'est la vie. I did gefilte fish, yeah. and I invested more effort into the 2 sections where I had 3rd pick than the 2 sections where I had 6th pick. Because in the sections where I had 6th pick, I wasn't going to have as much choice, so it wasn't going to be as important. With your 3rd pick, you want to try and get something pretty good. Knight g3 is a good choice. b4. This would have been a good moment to bring out a rook, right? A rook. We got to bring out the pieces. Got to bring them out. Cash still seems pumped up, though, which is nice. Now he's upset about something. Oh, maybe pawn to d2. Rook takes knight. Queen d7. Now he's got to move to deal with this d2.
I go check. Okay, hold.
What elo do I think Cash will reach after CoachChamps? I think he'll be about 1,200 by the end of this. Now he should move one of the rooks, because this is going to be a big threat.
Why though? Why did
This was perfectly good.
take for what? Here. Nope.
I do ZJ termination, yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh wow, he's going for something wild here. Something wild. Gefilte fish. I had 3rd pick in this section, Cash's section, 800 to 1,200, and in Francisco's section, the 1,200 to 1,600. Bishop f5. Knight hops again. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much they're calculating, but here he could have played knight d2 if black
Oh no!
kick the queen and then take the knight, which is great for him. Let's see how we're doing here. Knight c5, e4, bishop back, yeah.
No. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. Put it.
Queen h2 available. Yeah. What's that? Hello? Okay. Bye. Okay, I gotta catch up with the game. Queen d2 stopping. d2. Good call. Now we gotta give a check. Agreed, Far Eastern. I'm sure they didn't calculate that full line. And now cash is down to 1 minute without increments. So I presume he's going to more or less run out of time, but we'll see. It was a complicated position, yeah, till he sacrificed that piece for the pawn that was bothering him. But this was definitely a very complicated game / position in general.
It's over.
Yeah, ZJ Termination. I did live coverage of every single round of the FIDE Grand Swiss. Or most of it, sorry. I went on a camping trip and missed a couple rounds. But I did go back and see Andy Woodward's round 10 game, even though I was camping that day. I saw it.
Hey, yeah. Maybe.
Nice move from the opponent, bringing out the last piece. Of course, Queen H2 is crushing as well.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Nowhere to go. Black's got pieces everywhere. But yeah, you can't escape a rook moving on a straight line.
Hey, whoa, oh, well,
Can't
okay.
outrun
Well,
it.
hold.
The queen gives check and retreats.
Get the hell out of here.
He's going to get his queen the hell out of here on this next one.
Brother, okay, why not? Okay, all right.
Cool.
A little bit of a warm up on D4 there, obviously, but
Yeah.
Practice nonetheless.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's expected to be harder, right? Just like your games as black against D4 are harder than your games against E4 right now. So it's expected to be harder. It's just a learning step.
Yep.
Yeah.
But good, yeah.
Yeah, totally good. So yeah, that went fine from my perspective. You got to play a game, different opening, different position. It was super complicated and interesting for a long time. So, yeah, all good.
Okay. Solid.
Any other question for me today?
I think all good. No questions right now. I guess if I do have any, I can shoot you an email or something.
Okay.
For next time.
Then let's glance at the calendar for a second. I have the unfortunate thing. I have hemophilia, and I have a bleed in my ankle right now, which means I'm sort of useless around the house with the kids, which means I have a little more flexibility to do some lessons while I'm useless.
Gotcha.
So let me look at the schedule tomorrow. Let's see. You're available at like 3:30 my time generally, right?
Correct. Yeah.
3:30. Okay. You know what? I'm not sure. I'm going to check with my wife and send you an email, actually. But I'll try to find a time either Tuesday or Wednesday in the afternoon during the times that you told me. That'll work. So I can watch you play a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah, solid.
And yeah, and if you have any questions, of course, just shoot me an email in the meantime. I should be able to arrange something because unfortunately I'm useless to her right now. So should be possible. Yeah. Cool.
All right, cool. Yeah, I really appreciate the lesson. This was awesome.
Of course.
Looking forward to the next one.
Sounds good. All right. Yeah.
Awesome.
Happy practicing, and we'll be in touch.
All right, sounds good. Thanks. Bye. Bye,
Bye.
chat. Bye, everyone. See how? Oh, here we go.
Okay, folks. So we're gonna shout out Cash one more time. Very nice guy. Easy to work with. So there's a link to his Twitch stream where he practices. And you can just click on that link and you'll be able to follow, get a notification when he's live and practicing. You can pop in there and watch. If you're somewhere between 950 and 1350 or even 1400, you can help him get some extra practice with that 2-second increment over the next couple weeks. He also needs to play an occasional 3+2, just a couple blitz games to get just a little faster for when he needs the burst of speed. And yeah, that's today's thing. Perhaps tomorrow I'll get to introduce you all to my 4th student, Jake. Yeah, it's a little underwhelming, perhaps, Zoomjaw, that my plan is so simple. I would love to do some more intricate coaching, but we'll do that next month. Yeah, we'll still get to do that. So for now, I mean, this is definitely what I believe in terms of the format of this competition. Do I have ambitions to reach GM? No. Am I okay and fine with where I am? Sure. Here's what I would like. Here's what I would like, DG. I would like to be able to play 2 chess tournaments a year. 9 to 10 round tournaments, 1 game a day. Boards and sets and clocks are provided. Maybe somewhere in the facilities there's a swimming pool so I can get a little bit of exercise each day and play. That's what I would like. Do I need to make GM or IM or rating points or this or that during those tournaments? No. I'm content with being as good and as bad as I am and other people being as good and as bad as they are. I would really like to occasionally play a game that gives me satisfaction, a game that I find like pretty and or exciting or entertaining or whatever, so I would love to occasionally play a game that I consider nice, but I think that would happen if I were playing 2 tournaments a year. I think it would just happen on its own that I would occasionally play a game that I find really nice. So that's what I'm looking for. What's the highest rating range in this coaching group? The highest rating range Viral Stigma is 1600 to 2000. But by a coincidence about these groups, well, it's not really a coincidence. I can explain why if you want in a moment. But it turns out that in these groups, the 1200 to 1600 group, their ratings are all between 1400 and 1600, basically. Okay? And the 1600 to 2000 group, their ratings are all from like 1600 to 1800. So the difference between those groups is not as far as it could be. And for example, my player from the 1200 to 1600 section, he's just gotten over 1600. My player from the 1600 to 2000 section is in the 1700s. So they're actually close enough that they can practice with each other. Those 2 groups are a little bit closer. I think basically the reason is pretty simple. It's easier for 12 and 1300s to improve to 1600 than it is for 16 and 1700s to improve to 1900, 2000. So, they set some of these players in groups, a month or 2 ago. And so some of the players in the 1200 bracket are moving up towards 1600. The players in the 600 to 2000 bracket, they're just going to be improving much more slowly because they're at such a high level already. So you won't see them gaining 300 points in a month. It just won't happen at that level. All right. Those are my shows for today. The Grand Swiss is done, so there'll be no Grand Swiss tomorrow morning. I'll be sleeping during the night, I guess. What does it take to be a student and be coached on stream like this? Oh, sorry. I don't do much of this private coaching anymore. Yeah. How to get into it? I don't know. My time is pretty limited right now. This was a special event, an invitation from chess.com to do this thing here. In the past year or two, I've only given like at most one lesson per person generally, just to give them a profile and a sense of what their strengths and weaknesses are. I've got so many different projects. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. All right. What are my thoughts on people saying Blue Bomb is an undeserving winner? I can see where they're coming from because he did get very lucky in 2 or 3 games, which seems like a lot. But on the other hand, everyone else played in the same event and he played against really strong opponents. And, you know, I can understand saying that he got a little bit lucky, but I can also understand saying that he was deserving, right? So I think undeserving is harsh. I think he's playing well, and I, for one, am interested to see, you know, how he plays in the future. You know, if he's continuing to improve or if he is just on a good streak that will end soon. You know, I would say undeserving is harsh, but I understand the direction that it could come from. It's not nice or useful to trash someone in public when you have no need to either, right? Like, what's the point? Like, if somebody asks you, do you think Blue Bomb got lucky? And your job is to comment on chess. I can understand giving an honest assessment and saying, I think he got a bit lucky in these 2 games. You could say something like that, right? But if nobody's asked you, would you go online and say this guy who just had his best tournament doesn't deserve to win the prize in the tournament he just played in? Like, why would we go say that about somebody? Whether or not we're right about it? Like, what's the advantage, purpose, goal, boost, pleasure? You know what I mean? Like, what's the upside of going online and saying something bad about somebody that nobody asked you to say? Maybe I'm even too honest in saying that if somebody asks me something, I'll give them my honest answer. Maybe I should just say something like no comment more often instead of always having an opinion. Right? There's this idea that people feel a responsibility to have an opinion on everything, even things they know basically nothing about. Maybe I should just sometimes be like, I don't need to say anything. But to go out of your way to say bad things about somebody you don't know, I mean, I only do that for like people who start wars or commit genocides or things like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm usually not looking for opportunities to just cut somebody down for not being good at something. I guess it would have to be like a real moral failing if I wanted to speak out on something. Right? If there was something going on that I thought was really bad, like my neighbors were dumping trash in the street and I was hoping that we could reverse the new culture of just dumping your trash in the street. But I mean, whether or not Blue Bomb is deserving or lucky or unlucky or good, or, you know, should he be number 30 in the world or number 40 in the world, I don't see the point of doing that. Filet gefilte fish. Wow, I didn't know Mubot would let you say that, gefilte. That's amazing. There is a fair amount of luck in chess, for sure. Okay, so the bad thing, Dabo, is that I've had this bleed in my ankle, so I can't swim. And this is the thing that tends to set me back in my exercise, is that like periodically I'm injured and I can't work out for like 2 weeks or whatever while dealing with an injury. So right now I can't walk. And it's been that way for 8 days maybe. So yeah. And the week before that I had COVID. So it's been like 2.5 weeks since I've worked out, I think. I'm doing push-ups with one foot while my leg that's bleeding, I don't put any weight on it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't figured out what to do. Well, I can't even get to the water, Viral Stigma. It's like a few blocks away. Normally it's very convenient. You know, it's 5 blocks away from where I live. I can't even get to the pool. If I could get to the pool, I could maybe put an ace around the bleeding ankle and do something there. Or I could at least like lift weights with my arms in the weight room, but I can't even get to the place, you know? Yeah. RKJW, you'll have to go back 1.5 minutes in the video to see my answer to that. It wasn't so bad, ZJ, but I couldn't go to the pool for like 5 days or so while I was COVID positive, right? Just a pogo stick to get to the pool. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Eduardo. I think there are real contenders that they've been excited about and salivating all year, right? Like, if the candidates happens and Arjun Erigaisi is not in the candidates, I will be disappointed that he's not there. But that doesn't mean I should go, I think they call it shit posting maybe. It doesn't mean I should go and like talk smack about the people who are there, right? I could even say, I wish Arjun were in the candidates. He's such an exciting player. I could even post something like that on Twitter. Change some bad habits, huh? Yeah, thanks, Dr. PS. All right, I'm gonna take off. It's been a good 15 hours of streaming or whatever today. And I'm gonna read some books to my kids. Cheers, everybody. See you tomorrow. We'll be doing more lessons.